Hello, class 8. This is the chapter from your book Honey Dew. Chapter number 3, Glimpses of the Past. What is the name of the chapter? The name of the chapter is Glimpses of the Past. Okay. Now what is this lesson about? Listening to the name, reading to the name only, we can understand that it is going to something talk about our history, right? And it is also going to put a glance or the light on the events that took place in our country in 1957 to 1850. From 1757 to 1857. Here in this book, it is not like other chapters which are there in your chapter, like a story or something, okay? This chapter in your book will be in a form of a comic way. Comic means the comics which you read. There may be dialogues or something written, okay? So it would be a bit hard for you to understand, so you have to only pay attention on the explanation of this chapter, okay? There are different parts given: martyrs, oppression, British rule, Raja Ram Mohan Roy, oppression, okay, dissatisfaction, and this type of events or parts are been divided in this chapter. I'll explain you each and every part very nicely, but the thing is you only have to understand, you only have to listen to the explanation very properly. This chapter enlists incidents that led to widespread means which happened in the past, and it was worldwide, known as, you can say, the first war of independence, okay? The event which took place in our country from 1757 to 1857, you can say it was the first war of independence. It provides a glimpse of how the British East India Company expanded its power in India and exploited Indians. Okay, how they robbed the landlords, the farmers, and created situations that led to famines and pushed patriots to launch widespread massacres. Okay, means this chapter, in the whole chapter you will come to know about the history of British rule, the history at the time of British rule from 1757 to 1857. Now, who is the writer of this? Who wrote this chapter for you? His name is Shivaji Sawant. Let's something know about the author of this chapter. The author of this chapter is Shivaji Sawant. Shivaji Sawant was born on 31st August 1940. Okay, and he died on 18th September 2002. He was an Indian novelist in the Marathi language. He used to write but in Marathi language. He is known as Mrityunjayakar. Mrityunjayakar means the maker of Mrityunjay, for writing the famous Marathi novel Mrityunjay. Why was he named Mrityunjayakar? Because he had written the famous novel Mrityunjay. He was the first Marathi writer to be awarded with the Murti Devi Award in 1994. He wrote a book Mrityunjay, that is the trump over death, based on Karna, one of the leading characteristics of the epic Mahabharata. In the Mahabharata book you must have, or in the serials also you must have come to know about Karna, okay? And in this Mrityunjay book, it is based on Karna, one of the leading characters of Mahabharata. This book was translated into Hindi in 1974, in English in 1989, in Kannada in 1990, and in Gujarati in 1991, in Malayalam in 1995. and this book of his received numerous awards and accolades. His novel Chhawa, published in 1980, is based on the life of Shambhaji, the son of Shivaji Maharaj. He held the post of Vice President of Maharashtra Sahitya Parishad since 1995. He was the President of Baroda Sahitya Sammelan in 1983. He was born in a small farmer family in Ajra village in Kolhapur district in Maharashtra. He finished his school education in Vyankatrao High School, Ajra. He worked with Raja Ram Prashala, Kolhapur as a teacher for 20 years, and afterwards as editor in Maharashtra Education Department monthly magazine Lok Shikshan for 6 years in Pune, that is from 1974 to 1980. Okay, now let's see about his books. He wrote Mrityunjay, that is a mythological novel. Mythological novel means based on God and everything, God, goddesses, okay. Chhawa, or you can say Chhav. Chhawa is also a novel based on life of Shambhaji. Yugandhar is also a novel. Kavadase, Kanchan Kan, Ladat, Ashi Mane, Ashi Namune, Kranti Sihachi, Gavran Bali, it's a compilation. Purushothaman Anna Sahib, that is P.K. Patil. He wrote many dramas also. Mrityunjay, Chhawa, Glimpse of the Past. That's why in your book you can see it is how it is based on the, it is written with the dialogues, okay. So Glimpse of Past is one type of a drama, okay. He was not only a historical writer but also a political writer. He did not write only on histories or something like that. He wrote on politics also. So this is about our author Shivaji Sawant. Okay. Now let's start with the chapter and see what is there. In the chapter Glimpses of the Past, the first part is on the martyrs. You can see her scene here. The scene represents a function. In that scene, you can see Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Indira Gandhi, Lal Bahadur Shastri, everyone. Right? This scene took place in Delhi, where you can also see where you can also see Lata Mangeshkar ji. She was singing at that time. In this scene, she is singing the famous patriotic song "Ae Mere Watan Ke Logo." When she sang this song, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru cried. Means there were tears in Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru's eyes. Lata Mangeshkar sang this song "Ae Mere Watan Ke Logo" with such a affection and such a beauty, you can say, that it made Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru cry. So this is the first scene about the martyrs, where they are remembering the martyrs who fought for our country and lost their life. In this scene, Lata Mangeshkar ji is singing the song "Ae Mere Watan Ke Logo," and along her side you can see Indira Gandhi, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and Lal Bahadur Shastri. Okay, fine. So, and we're now moving to the next one is the company's conquest that happened in 1757 to 1849. The year 1757 bears the mark of being an important year in Indian history. Means the events which happened in 1957, they have a very important role in the Indian history. It has been an important year, you can see. The 1757 is marked as an important year in the Indian history. Okay? Why? Because the company rule, where you can say the company Raj, which refers to what? Which company Raj? The East India Company, the British rule. Okay? Company over parts of the Indian subcontinent. Now the Britishers, the British rule had took over their rule on over all the parts of Indian subcontinents. The East India Company was a private company owned by stakeholders and reporting to the administration in London. Means the Britishers were ruling in India, but they were reporting to the administration in London. The company came to India to set up a few factories at different places. Why did the Britishers come to India? They only came to India as traders. Okay? The Britishers came to India only for trading. They only came to India to set up some of the factories in different places. Okay? But slowly the companies beginning to coastal India offered no clues and what could become a lengthy presence on the Indian subcontinent. Means slowly they started to expand and extend their dominance in India. They had only come to India to trade. But when they saw the weakness, that how Indians were, like you can say, very innocent, that they believed on everything, and they started ruling on us with the divide and rule policy. Slowly and gradually now it started continuing, expanding and extending their dominance in India. Okay, now one of the reasons they were able to do this is as they possessed superior weapons. Right? Why was it possible for them to dominate India? Because of their superior weapons which they had. We were not that much superior with the weapons in those days. Okay, the first thing which made easy for them to rule over us was the superior weapons. Secondly, they took advantage of the prevailing disturbed circumstances among the Indian rulers. Means the Indian rulers, they were fighting with each other. They were just quarreling with each other. There was dispute between the Mughals and the Marathas and everyone. So this was also an disadvantage for us and an advantage for them to rule over us. Because this was they took the advantage of prevailing disturbed circumstances which were there between our Indian rulers. The Indian princes were not at peace amongst themselves. They were fighting among each other only. The Indian rulers were fighting among each other only. And this was the biggest point which they took over. That if they are fighting with each other on their own, it is easy for us to rule over them. So this was the weakest point for we Indians and the power point for the British rulers. And this was very easy for the Britishers to rule over us. Okay, Indian princes, however, were short-sighted, which means they only considered immediate benefits but ignored its long-term consequences. What happened further? The Indian princes, what did they do? They were very short-sighted. Short-sighted means they did not think long-term. They only saw the profit which they got at the same point of time. But was this profit for a long term, or what was its long term consequences? They did not look at that. They ignored that, and this was also one of the weakest point for them. So they took help from the English merchants. Now what they did? Now whenever they needed profit, they took the help of the English merchants to be able to defeat their rivals. Why did they take the help of the British rulers? They took the help of the British rulers because the British rulers had superior weapons. Okay, but only looking at the immediate benefit. They did not look for the long-term consequences. At the present, they were only seeing the superior weapons which were there with the English rulers, and they needed the help from the British rulers because of it. But they did not look at the long-term consequences, that what is this going to cause. But to defeat their rivals, they took the help from the English merchant. Now this helped the British East India Company in successfully taking over control with the Indian rulers. Do you think that the British rulers had given the help without any profit? No. They also wanted in return something, no? So this was the thing which the Indian princes were not able to understand. They were very short-sighted. They were not trying to understand. Okay, and this helped the British East India Company in successfully taking over the Indian rulers. And so, looking at that the rulers are fighting among themselves, the British adopted the divide and rule policy. The British adopted the rule, which rule? Divide and rule policy. Okay. Now this continued. Do you think that this was going to get over very soon? When the Britishers came to know about the weakness of the Indian rulers, they now started to divide the Indian rulers and rule over them. Among all the short-sighted Indian rulers, there were some rulers like Tipu Sultan, the ruler of Mysore, okay, who understood their policy. Not all the Indian rulers were of the same thing. Not all the rulers were short-sighted. Some of the rulers were such kind of rulers who thought very deeply about the long-term consequences. What is right, what is wrong. Okay. So Tipu Sultan had understood this policy of the Britishers, the divide and rule policy, and so he fought against them till his last moment. What is company conquest? Company conquest means the act of conquering a country, an area or situation. Okay, company rule in India was the rule of dominion of the British East India Company over the parts of the Indian subcontinent. Means the company means here the company, which company? The East India Company. Okay, the Britishers wanted to rule over India. So they wanted to conquer the country first. They wanted to win the country first. So for this, what did they started? They started the divide and rule policy, in which some of the Indian kings were short-sighted, so they did not think for the long term. But some of the kings, some of the rulers of the ruler of Mysore, Tipu Sultan, understood this policy of the Britishers, and so he fought with it. He fought till the last, till the end, last moment. Okay. The Indians, however, had varied opinions and reactions. Not all the Indians were happy with this British rules. Everybody had varied opinions, means very different thinking about it. Okay, and have different reactions also. Some of the Indians followed the rule because they wanted to be not to be harassed by the Britishers, and some who wanted the freedom from the Britishers showed reactions. Okay, the first set of people were very happy with the Britishers and were also grateful because they thought peace could finally prevail. They thought it put an end to war and looting by the thugs. On the other hand, people saw that was actually happening. They knew that even if some of the princes were cruel, they were at least of their land. They had realized that they were now slaves of the Englishmen. Means some people were happy with the Britishers. They liked their rules, they liked everything, because they were also grateful, because they thought peace could finally prevail. Peace could finally prevail means some people, some Indians at that time in the British rule, they thought that they were happy with the Britishers and were also grateful, because they thought that someday or the other they would get the success. But on the other hand, some people actually were seeing what was being happening. Okay, they knew that the princes means the kings who were ruling over them were cruel, but they were happy because those princes were of their own land, they were of their own country. But the Britishers, they did not accept them as their kings or as their rulers. Why? Because they had realized that the Britishers, first thing, the Britishers were not from their country, and secondly, the Britishers now had made them the slaves. Now they were the slaves of the Englishmen. So here it's only trying to say that at the time of British rule, people had different opinions and different reactions. Some accepted the Britishers because they wanted peace, and some were actually knowing that what is happening with them. Okay, they were ready with the cruelty of their own king because they were the Indians, but they were not ready to be the slave of the Britishers. Okay, now talking about the British rule. Now, how was the British rule? We are now at the third part. Just have a look in your book. We are at the third part of your chapter, that is the British rule, which happened, what happened from 1765 to 1836. The Britishers started looking down upon the Indians and initiated brainwashing the rulers against them. Okay, now the policy of divide and rule, the Britishers had put down the policy, right? They had, now with that policy, what did they started doing? From 1765 to 1836, these years led to the rise of widespread myths and taboos like untouchability, child marriage, inferiority of women, inferiority of women, etc. Our own religion leader taught everyone the idea of untouchability. Untouchability, what is it? Untouchability refers to the practice of ostracizing, excluding, you can say, the minority group by segregating them from the mainstream by social custom or legal mandate. Untouchability, you can say that where a minor group of people are not allowed to attend the holy occasions. Now what did the Britishers do? Now to widespread their rule, they now started the rise of widespread of myths and taboos like untouchability. They gave the rise to such things, child marriage. Okay, now these 1765 to 1836, these years were like the rise of the such things. They were not allowed, the untouchables were not allowed to come near those who considered themselves superiors. They were not allowed in the temples, and in the list of how they were discriminated against and deprived by the basic rights goes on. Means many things. They were not allowed to take the water from the well which were used by the superiors. They were kept, you can say, outside the cities or outside the villages. Okay. The religious leaders even preached that people who cross the seas will no longer belong to their religion. Women were considered the root of cause for lots of problems like poverty or other miseries. It was been the thinking of that time. At the time of British rule, it was been thought that the women were the cause of each and every problem. Though it was poverty, it was said that the cause was the woman. The root cause was the woman. If any misery, if somebody died, if there is a, you can say, flood or something, or any kind of such things, drought, then it would say that the main cause is woman. Because of the woman, it has been happening. This is the reason why teenage girls were forced to marry, thereby leading a child marriage, which is nowadays not allowed. Now it is outlawed in India. But during the British rule, child marriage, untouchability, inferiority of women, everything was on a great rise. These practices were not only being done, but were also being promoted. Means these actions were not only done, but they were also being given a great rise to the thought. People were giving encouragement to the others who were doing such kind of things. This all was happening at the time of British rule. This all was happening at the time of British rule. So what did the Britishers started doing? They had a look on each and everything of the Indians. But the Indians at that time did not even think that their actions are being watched by the British. The Britishers started looking down upon Indians, and they started brainwashing the rulers against them. They alleged that Indians were not worthy to trust and incapable of honesty. Now, how did they try to brainwash the rulers, Indian rulers? What did they started saying? That the Indians are not at all worthy of trust. The Indians are incapable of honesty. Because if they are not of their own people, what are they going to be ours? This was a way of making the native slaves and getting control over them. And because of this weakness, it was easy for the Britishers to rule over us. They were making us slaves and ruling over us, getting control over us. Not only this, the British merchants levied heavy taxes on the poor farmers. Now, when their torture was not over, what did they started doing? They started levying heavy taxes on the poor farmers. And why did they do that? They did that because of the great greed of the immediate profit, the profit which they wanted. But they didn't even think that how could that poor farmer pay such heavy taxes. As a result, the farmer had to give up their land. Now, if the tax was not being paid by the farmer, the Britishers would take away their land. If this was not even enough, they even threatened the farmers to imprison them if they did not clear their arrears. Means when this was also not over, means taking away the land from the farmer was not over, what did they say? That if you don't pay us the tax, we would imprison you. Imprison means put you in jail. they continuously found ways to exploit the people to earn the profits. And why did they do this? They only did this to earn the profit. But that was not the end. They used to, you can say, find some or the other new ways. How could they torture the Indians? Like, for example, you can say the good manufactured in England was being imported to India, and no import duty was levied on them. The England produced was sold at higher prices, where the Indian produce was taken away at the less prices. Means the things which were brought from England to sell in India were sold in the high prices, and the things which were taken from India were paid very less. And this increased the poverty and the misery for the farmers in India. Now, not only this, such policy of the East India Company destroyed the Indian industries, because now there was no profit left. The Indian industries were not getting as much as profit as they wanted. So this led to the destroyed the Indian industries. Small businesses and individual artisans were also ruined, because whatever the artisans made, artistic things, were taken in a very low price, which were not giving them a good profit. All this resulted to the famine and extreme scarcity of food. Now, because of it, the people of India were getting very less food. Approximately 15 lakh Indians starved to death between 1822 to 1836. And this all only because of the British policy. They did not leave a single way of exploiting the Indians when they were ruling on India. Okay? But there were many social reformers who were fighting for this: child marriage, widow marriage, untouchability, many things. From it, one was Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Raja Ram Mohan Roy from 1772 to 1833. Raja Ram Mohan Roy was a well-educated man from Bengal. He was one of the first to realize that there was something wrong with our country. Okay, this is the fourth part, Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Now moving to the fourth section of your chapter. Raja Ram Mohan Roy was a well-educated man. He was from Bengal. Okay, he was one of the first to realize that something is wrong in my country, something is wrong in our country. He was of the belief that Indians must not consider themselves inferior and look down upon themselves. He had the belief, he was on a belief. What belief? That the Indians, we Indians always thought that we are inferior. Inferior means we are not good for anything, or we cannot do anything. The first thing which Raja Ram Mohan Roy said was, the Indians should not consider themselves as inferior or look down upon themselves. If the Indians would have thought at that time, at the time of British rule, that what wrong was going on with them, if they would have protested that, the Britishers would have not ruled on us for 200 years. But only we thought that we cannot do anything, we cannot do anything. The Britishers ruled over us. He believed that our ancient culture was great and the people were destined for greater achievements. Okay, now what did Raja Ram Mohan Roy believe? Raja Ram Mohan Roy believed that ancient culture was great And he also believed that the people were destined with greater achievements. According to him, the first step was to change the society by abandoning the prevailing superstitions. He wanted to change the thinking of the society first. If your thinking is changed, yes, you can fight with anything. So first he wanted to change the prevailing superstitious thought of the people. It was the main cause, root cause of all the problems. When you are superstitious, you cannot think anything good. Once while having a conversation with his wife, he was having a conversation. You can have a look at the picture where he is having a conversation with his wife. He told her, what was he telling there? That the cows are of different colors, but the color of their milk is the same. Do the red cow give red milk, or the white cow give white milk, and black cow gives black milk? This means that different teachers might have different opinions, for the essence of each religion is the same. Means let it be the teacher of any caste, but the thought of the teacher, the teaching of the teacher is always the same. Further, what he is trying to say? Further, Raja Ram Mohan Roy took keen interest in science and modern knowledge. According to him, knowledge should be practical and scientific. He even published a newspaper which the Britishers stopped out of suspicion in 1823. When the Britishers saw that the paper published by Raja Ram Mohan Roy was influencing the Indians, it was a great threat for the Britishers. So what did they do? They stopped the paper published by Raja Ram Mohan Roy in 1823. It was inquisitive to know what made the Britishers so powerful. He was inquisitive to know. Now, Raja Ram Mohan Roy wanted to know that what made the Britishers so powerful. So he crossed the seas and travelled to England. There he is known to tell Britishers that we as a nation accept their rule. He added that they must accept Indians as subjects and not forget their responsibilities and duties towards their subjects. Now, to know that how could the Britishers be so powerful in our country, he went to England, and there he saw and said that okay, you are our rulers, but treat us Indians as your subjects. You should not forget your responsibility and duties towards your subject. Raja Ram Mohan Roy is known for his efforts to abolish the practice of sati and child marriage. What is sati? Sati pratha is a pratha was a pratha. Nowadays it's not there. It is outlawed totally. But sati pratha was a pratha at that time where a woman had to sit on the funeral with his wife. Okay, with his husband. I'm sorry. The wife had to sit on the funeral with her husband and burn herself. That was a sati pratha. Okay, and child marriage. Yes, child marriage means get married at the less age. So these all were abolished by Raja Ram Mohan Roy. He raised his voice on that. He said that it is wrong. Widow marriage was encouraged by Raja Ram Mohan Roy. He said that why can't widows get married? Do they not have the feelings, or are they not the human beings, or do they not have the right of living again a happy life? So this is about Raja Ram Mohan Roy. This is the fourth section of your chapter. Fine. Let's have a look on the word meanings and for the rest of the chapters. For the rest of the sections, that is section 5, 6, 7 and 8. Okay. Section 5, 6, 7 and 8 we will see in the second part. This is the first part. Moving to the word meanings. Let's see. Meaning is conquest. What is conquest? The subjugation and assumption of control of a place or people by military force. Okay, means to control over something. Conquest means to control over something, whether it is of a place, people, anything. Short-sighted. Short-sighted means lacking imaginations. Superior means of higher in quality. Subdue. What is subdue? Subdue means to overcome or bring under control. Dethroned. Dethroned means to remove from the power. Preached. Preached means publicly proclaim or teach. To teach something in front of many people. That is called preached. Untouchability. Untouchability means it is a practice. It is a practice of ostracizing or excluding, you can say, a minority group by segregating them from the mainstream of social custom or legal mandate. What is a child marriage? Marriage of a girl or a boy before the age of 18 is called child marriage. Okay? Which was abolished by Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Scorned. S-C-O-R-N-E-D. Scorned. Scorned means feel or express contempt or disdain for. Merchants. What are merchants? Merchants are the people or the person involved in wholesale trade, especially one dealing with foreign countries or for supplying goods to a particular trade. Arrears. A-R-R-E-A-R-S. Arrears means money that is owed and should have been paid earlier. Inevitably is as is certain to happen or unavoidably. Famine. Extreme scarcity of food. When there is very lack of food, it is told as famine. And cripple. Cripple means to become unable to walk or move properly. Here our country was crippled when the Britishers were ruling over us. Means when the Britishers made the Indians slaves or they were ruling over us, our country became crippled. Crippled means our country was not able to move or walk properly because of this. So these were the word meanings. Conquest, short-sighted, superior, subdue, dethroned, preached, untouchability, child marriage, scorned, merchants, arrears, inevitability, famines and cripple. In the next session, we will see the other parts of the chapter, okay, which have been pending. We will continue this chapter in the second part. Till then, whatever is there, please listen properly. Please listen to the explanation. Read the chapter, though it is in the comic form, read it properly. And note down the word meanings. Till then, take care of your health. Bye.